Muintir Na Tire, as a national community development organisation, is fully committed to the Community Alert Crime Prevention Programme, in association, of course, with the Gardaí. In today's high incidence of crime, especially where those most vulnerable in our communities are concerned, it is essential that we all play our part. It cannot be left entirely to the Gardaí. And the Community Alert Programme provides people with the opportunity to help with this task. Since it was founded by Muintir in 1984, Community Alert has and is continuing to improve the quality of life for people, especially those in the more remote rural areas. Community Alert, indeed, is the putting of the concept of caring communities into positive action.
This is Mull na Vat in County Kilkenny, an ordinary small Irish town. Ordinary in many ways, but extraordinary in others. This small community, like so many others, has helped itself to grow and helped itself to deal with the threat of crime by the effective implementation of the Community Alert Scheme.
Well, I think what has made our scheme so successful is the whole general awareness of the community, of the whole idea of community alert. I think it's not just the few involved in the committee that's visiting the elderly and things like that, but it's the whole awareness of the general community, trying to make our area as crime-free as possible.
The Community Alert Scheme was introduced by Muintir Na Tire with the blessings of the Gardaí in 1984 in response to a spate of attacks on old people, particularly in rural areas. Muintir Na Tire set about creating a network of self-help groups nationally, the intention being to protect individuals and property by providing an effective backup to the local Gardaí and help fundamentally to maintain the quality of life which people enjoy all over the country. There are now hundreds of schemes nationwide. In some cases, members combine community alert activity with existing services, such as this Meals on Wheels rota in Mull na Vat.
Now you're on there, yeah.
It forms a central part of the work of Muintir Na Tire, founded in 1937 by John Cannon Hayes, as an organisation dedicated to the welfare of Irish people by uniting them in a spirit of community service, neighbourliness and self-reliance in working for the common good.
Arguably, it's one of our most successful programmes, and in fact launched, as you know, by Muintir Na Tire. And since it was introduced in 1984, specifically at that time to deal with attacks on the elderly in rural areas, it helped reduce considerably the attacks on the elderly, and being so successful, in fact, it developed then from there into a more general crime prevention program, and now deals with all manner of criminal activity in rural areas.
It's a self-help program at local level where local people get together to become involved in helping one another, particularly the elderly in the community, but not necessarily the elderly. All are involved.
Householders in rural areas face many problems. For the elderly, there's the problem of distance. When trouble strikes, help is often far away, and travelling gangs often prey on the natural openness of elderly people, used to living in a safer and more trusting society. There's also the problem of homes left unoccupied when both adults in a family work during the day. Criminals get to know the signs which tell them that there's no one in. So what are the elements of good community alert practice? Well, while handbooks and leaflets give some basic guidelines, we have to look no further than the work done by the people of Mull na Vat to see what putting a community alert scheme into practice is all about.
Usually there's a public meeting sponsored by some local organisation, and out of that a committee is elected, representative of the community. You have the usual officers, chairman, secretary and treasurer, and then you have contacts from town lands in the local community. And the role of the contacts is very important, because in cooperation with the local Garda, they visit every home in the community, carry out a simple survey of the local needs, and from there assess what they can do.
Initially it was started by Muintir Na Tire, who contacted the local ICA group here, and it was they who called a local parish meeting, if you like, community meeting, and it was from there that a committee was formed. And at the meeting people volunteered to take a section of their parish, the one that was nearest to them, and agreed to look after the elderly and in that area.
Before they could solve problems, the local committee decided to find out just what the problems, if any, there were relating to crime in their community.
Hello, Mary. How are you? Not too bad.
Hello, Mary. How are you?
Not too bad.
No, Mary.
No, Darren.
How are things?
Not too bad.
That you want yourself.
Yeah.
You have the phone in yourself, haven't you?
Oh, I have.
They undertook a house-to-house survey of the surrounding district with the local Gardaí and explained what they were trying to do.
Well, initially what we were trying to find out was how many people are living alone, how many people are living in isolated areas, and how many elderly couples are living together, and how many people would like us to be calling to them. What we were trying to find out is that when any of the elderly would go to hospital, that they would inform some member of a committee, and that we could see that not alone were they visited when they're at home, but when they're visited in hospital as well, that they would keep up the contact with us, and they felt happy when they were in hospital that we would go visit them, and they felt we were looking after their homes for them.
The initial survey concentrated to a large degree on the elderly and those living alone, and dealt in particular with their needs in relation to home and personal security. What emerged from this initial survey was that the concept of emergency as a crime-related occurrence alone was very narrow. It soon emerged that the vulnerable in the community of Muintir Na Tire were under potential attack not just from crime, but from fire, sickness, and just as significantly in the case of old people, loneliness. The committee set about providing a service which would deal with all of these difficulties and have a real impact on the welfare of the community. An information meeting was held in the local community hall to provide details of services available to local people, and a transport rota was established to help local people get to town for shopping trips or visits to the doctor or chemist. In Hugginstown, not far from Muintir Na Tire, the local committee took the communications requirements of their local people further by convincing some people to have telephones installed. This group filled in and processed application forms on their behalf, and now operate a daily call system for checking on the welfare of those in the area who live alone. Checking on older people is important, especially in winter, as the elderly are prone to hypothermia.
Well, hypothermia is a condition that can occur in the elderly in the winter time. The body is unable to maintain its normal temperature of 98.4 degrees, and so the body temperature drops dangerously low. Prevention is very important. We should all be very much aware of the elderly in the winter time. The first thing in prevention really is to make sure that the elderly person who's living alone is in a warm room, and it's worthwhile maybe just heating one room in the house rather than trying to heat the whole house, and trying to keep the temperature of the room to around 65 degrees, and perhaps spend most of the day in that room. It's also worthwhile considering bringing the bed downstairs for the very same reason, so that the temperature is maintained constant.
In relation to health and safety for older people, information is available on such topics as safety in the home, healthy eating and hypothermia from the Health Promotion Unit of the Department of Health. While providing physical security for your home is vital, there are other elements of home security which are less tangible, yet just as important to remember. Knowing that your home and its contents are protected by adequate insurance adds greatly to peace of mind.
Your home or your business, such as a shop or a farm, are probably the most valuable financial assets that you have. Therefore, one of the most practical steps you can take to protect yourself is to insure them adequately. The first thing you should do is to seek advice to get the right policy for your needs, to make sure that you're not overinsured, but just as importantly, to make sure that you're not underinsured. If you're unfortunate enough to have suffered a loss as a result of a theft or burglary at your home, the first thing you should do is contact your insurance company. We have the expertise to handle your claim promptly and efficiently, and with the minimum of inconvenience to you.
Community alert knows no age limits. It's an evolutionary process which engenders a spirit of caring and cooperation in our society. It preserves the quality of life in the community in which we live, and most of all, it gives us peace of mind.
The quality of life has certainly improved in many communities, because you now have in many areas caring communities, because the whole program of Community Alert has been broadened to take in not alone the elderly, but the homes of young married couples who may be away during the daytime. In fact, every house in the community that might be vulnerable is now being cared for by the local community.
Being aware, I think, is the important thing. People, as I said, haven't to go out at night, they haven't to do duty, but it is very important for the elderly and people living in isolated areas to be alert all the time.
In short, everybody but the criminal benefits from it. We benefit particularly from it because it frees up our people to do a lot more work within the community because of the assistance we get from people within the community. It's certainly of great benefit to the elderly people because of the fact that people come and visit them and people recognize them and people keep in touch with them. And what better lifestyle could we hope for in this country at the end of the day than everybody, particularly the elderly people, have a peaceful environment in which to live out their days.